My name is Laura Hennessy. I am 40 years old, and I want to tell you about something I almost explained away, something I almost filed under phase or stress, or the general complicated weather of being 11, until one night at 10:15, when my son said something so quiet and so precise that it reached through every layer of my adult competence and rearranged something I hadn't known needed rearranging. His name is Sam. He is 11 years old, which means he is in the particular country between childhood and adolescence, where the borders shift daily and you are never entirely sure which side you're on, or which side he's on, or whether the rules that worked last month still apply. He is tall, very tall for 11, with his father's long arms and the slightly uncertain relationship with his own body that tall boys often have at this age, the sense of having been issued a larger vehicle than expected and still working out the controls. He has dark hair that he recently started doing something intentional with in the mornings, which I have not commented on because I understand this is not a thing to comment on. He speaks less than he used to. The words have been consolidating, concentrating, the rambling streams of childhood narrowing into something more selective and considered. When Sam says something, he has decided to say it. This is relevant. The light started in September, for 3 years, since he was 8 and decided with great ceremony that nightlights were for babies. Sam had slept in complete darkness. This had been a point of pride, noted and occasionally referenced. Total darkness. No problem. In September, I noticed his light was on when I passed his door at 11 o'clock. I assumed he'd fallen asleep reading. I turned it off and went to bed. The next night, the light was on again, and the night after. By the end of the second week, it was clearly not accidental. The light was on every night without exception, and Sam was not always reading when I passed. Sometimes he was simply lying there, on his back, eyes open, in the way of someone who has chosen to be awake and lit, rather than awake and dark. I asked him about it once in the second week. "You've been sleeping with the light on," I said, casual, mentioned in passing. "It's fine," he said. "Are you having trouble sleeping?" "No." "Is something bothering you?" "No." I looked at him. He looked at me with the careful neutrality that 11-year-olds have developed specifically for conversations they do not wish to have. "Okay," I said. "Let me know if you want to talk." He nodded. I went back to what I was doing. I told myself it was a phase. 11 is full of phases. I told myself that if it were something serious, I would know. I told myself that I was available, and he knew I was available. And that was what mattered. I was doing what parents do when we are a little afraid of what we might hear. I was being available in a way that also, carefully, did not press. October passed. The light stayed on. I bought a softer bulb, lower wattage, warmer toned, without making any comment about why. I put it in his lamp while he was at school. He noticed but said nothing. The soft light continued every night. I told myself this was sensitive parenting, making adjustments without drawing attention, meeting the need without making him explain it. I believed this. I also knew, somewhere underneath, that I was partly doing it to avoid knowing what was actually happening, because knowing would require me to sit with something I might find difficult. I was not wrong about that. The conversation happened on a Wednesday in November. I had checked on him at 10 o'clock. The light on. Sam lying on his back with a book closed on his chest, staring at the ceiling. I started to pull the door most of the way closed, and he said, "Mom." I stopped. "Yeah? Can you come in for a sec?" I went in and sat on the chair at his desk, the same way I had sat with him since he was small enough to fit in my lap. The desk chair, at a little distance, the specific physical arrangement of being present without crowding. He was looking at the ceiling. "I want to tell you something," he said, "but I need you to not make it a big thing." "Okay," I said. "I'll do my best." He was quiet for a moment. In the soft, warm light of the low wattage bulb I had installed without comment, I watched him decide how to start. "I've been scared at night," he said. "Like, not of anything specific. Not monsters, or whatever." He said this with a slight, preemptive defensiveness, getting ahead of the condescension he was apparently expecting. Just scared. Like something bad is going to happen. I don't know what. Just bad. I sat with that. "How long?" I said. "Since school started," he said. "September. 2 months." He had been lying in the dark, and then in the soft light, with this specific, shapeless fear, for 2 months without saying anything to me. "Every night?" I said. "Most nights," he said. "It's worse when the light is off. When it's on, it's easier to remember that everything is normal. Like, I can see my room, my stuff, and it's all just normal stuff. And I can think, everything is fine. It's just night. Nothing is wrong." A pause. But in the dark, I can't see that, and then I can't make my brain believe it. I thought about the 3 years of proud darkness, about the ceremony of turning the nightlight off at 8. I thought about how much of what we do at 11 years old is the performance of not needing things we still need. "What does the fear feel like?" I said, "when it comes?" He thought about this seriously, the way he thinks about things he is trying to describe accurately. "Like something is about to change," he said. "Like everything is normal right now, but it's not going to stay that way. Like..." He stopped. Tried again. "You know when you're reading a book and something good is happening, and you can see that there aren't many pages left, and you know it's probably going to go wrong soon?" He looked at me. "It feels like that. All the time. At night especially." I sat very still. Not many pages left. "Sam," I said carefully, "has something happened that made you feel this way? Something specific that started in September?" He looked back at the ceiling. "Grandpa," he said. My father had been diagnosed in August. A serious diagnosis. The kind that reorganizes everything around it, that changes the way the future looks when you try to imagine it. We had told the children in the way that parents attempt to tell children these things. Calmly, honestly, with the careful management of our own fear, so that they receive the information without also receiving the full weight of our response to it. We had thought we had handled it well. "You're scared about Grandpa," I said. "I'm scared about everything," he said. "Like, Grandpa made me think about it, and now I can't stop. Like anyone could just..." He stopped. "Like things can just change, without warning, and I can't stop thinking about all the people I would. If something happened to you, or Dad, or Rosie. Rosie is his 8-year-old sister. I just lie there and I think about it, and I can't make it stop." He said this last part with the exhaustion of someone who has been fighting a battle alone for a long time and is very tired. I moved from the desk chair to the edge of his bed. "Thank you for telling me," I said. He shrugged. The 11-year-old shrug that means things it doesn't say. "Can I tell you something?" I said. He nodded at the ceiling. "What you're describing, that fear, that particular fear, it doesn't go away when you get older," I said. "I want to be honest with you about that because I think you're old enough to hear it, and because lying to you about it wouldn't be fair. The fear of losing people you love, the awareness that things change, that good things don't last forever. That is a real thing that real people carry. Adults carry it too. I carry it. He turned his head to look at me. You do? He said. Yes, I said. After Grandpa's diagnosis, I had nights like yours. I still do sometimes, lying in the dark, thinking about the pages left. He was quiet. What do you do? He said. I turn on a light sometimes, I said. Or I wake your dad up and make him talk to me. Or I go make tea and sit in the kitchen, where it's bright and normal, and I look at the ordinary things, and I try to let them remind me that right now, tonight, everything is okay. He looked at the ceiling again. That's what I'm doing, he said, with the light. I know, I said. And I want you to know that I saw it. I put in the softer bulb because I wanted to help, without making you explain it before you were ready. But I'm glad you're ready now. And I want you to know that you can come get me. On any night. At any time. If you wake up and the fear is there and you can't talk it down, come get me and we'll sit in the kitchen together. He looked at me. Even if it's late, he said. Especially if it's late, I said. That's what I'm here for. He was quiet for a long moment. I didn't want to bother you, he said. I thought about 2 months, about a boy lying in the careful warm light of a low wattage bulb, alone with a fear that had no specific shape, managing it privately rather than adding it to his parents' already adjusted load. The same logic I had seen before in children who love their parents and have watched their parents absorb difficulty. The quiet reasoning that says, they already have enough. I will carry this part myself. You are never a bother, I said. I need you to hear that directly, not as something I'm saying to be nice, as a true thing. You coming to me at 3 a.m. with your fear is not a burden. It is exactly what I am for. You are my primary responsibility. Not my job, not the house, not my own sleep. You and Rosie. And when one of you is lying awake alone with something heavy, I have failed at the primary thing if I don't know about it. He was looking at me with the focused, assessing expression he uses when he is deciding whether something is true. Okay, he said, after a moment, simply. Okay, I said. I sat with him until he fell asleep. Not talking. He didn't need talking, just sitting in the warm light of the lamp while his breathing slowed and deepened, and his face went to the particular smoothness of sleep, losing the held quality it had when he was awake and managing. I turned the light off when I was sure he was asleep. Then I went out into the hallway and sat down on the floor, with my back against the wall, and I cried. Quietly, so as not to wake anyone, for about 20 minutes. Not from sadness, exactly. From the specific combination of feelings that is hard to name. Relief that he had told me. Grief that he had been carrying it alone for 2 months. Recognition of my own fear in his description of his. And something that was almost gratitude. The overwhelming, specific gratitude of a parent who has been trusted with the interior of their child. He had said, I can see that there aren't many pages left. He had said it about his grandfather. He had also, without meaning to, said something that was about everything impermanent. About childhood, about this specific version of us. About the 11-year-old with the intentional hair who is tall for his age and says less than he used to, and who will, in ways I cannot track or predict, keep becoming someone new. Not many pages left of this particular thing, this particular boy, this particular version of us, in this particular house, with this particular soft bulb in his lamp. I sat on the hallway floor And I let myself feel the weight of that completely, which is something I had been not quite doing since August. Then I got up and went to bed. He came to the kitchen 3 nights later at 2:15 in the morning. I heard his door and I was awake before he reached the landing. I met him at the bottom of the stairs. He was in his pajamas, slightly rumpled, with the expression of someone who has been awake for a while and has finally decided to act on a permission that was given. "Can't sleep?" I said. "Yeah," he said. We made tea. He has started having tea with me on weekend mornings. Another thing that is new, and that I am careful not to comment on, too much in case commenting dissolves it. We sat at the kitchen table in the bright, ordinary light of the kitchen, and I let him talk when he wanted to, and be quiet when he wanted to. And at some point, he started telling me about a book he was reading, which turned into a conversation about the book, which turned into him telling me about a thing that had happened at school that week with a friend. An hour passed. He went back to bed at 3:15 and slept. I know because I listened and the house was quiet. In the morning, he came down for breakfast and didn't mention any of it. Just sat down and ate his cereal and looked at his phone and was 11. Completely, unremarkably 11. I made his toast and put it in front of him, and he said thank you without looking up. I stood at the counter and watched him for a moment and thought, this ordinary morning, this is the page we are on right now, this specific one. And it is enough. It is more than enough. My father is managing. Not recovered, the word recovered does not apply to what he has not in a clean way, but managing, which is its own word with its own meaning, a word about continuation and presence, and the particular dignity of still being here. He came for dinner 2 Sundays ago, and Sam sat beside him, and they talked for almost 2 hours about a game they both follow, with the absorbed equality of 2 people who have found something that makes age irrelevant. At one point, I watched Sam say something that made my father laugh. A real laugh, the sudden kind. And my father put his hand on Sam's shoulder, in the way older people touch younger people when they feel unexpectedly seen. Sam didn't look uncomfortable. He looked at his grandfather with the focused attention he brings to things that matter. That night, he slept with the light off. I noticed in the morning, the lamp off, the room dark, Sam asleep in the total way he hadn't slept in months. I stood in the doorway for a moment. Then I went downstairs and started breakfast and let him sleep. I think about that conversation often. The 10:15 Wednesday, the desk chair, the ceiling, not many pages left. I think about how close I came to not having it. How easy it would have been to keep making small adjustments, installing soft bulbs, telling myself he'd tell me when he was ready, and never quite creating the specific conditions in which ready could arrive. He told me because I finally stayed in the doorway long enough to hear my name. That's all it took. I stayed in the doorway. If you have a child lying awake at night with a light on, or with a particular quality of quietness that has settled around them, or with the careful neutrality of someone managing something they have decided not to share, please stay in the doorway a little longer than feels natural. Please let the silence sit until it becomes something else. They will tell you. They need a minute to decide you can hold it, and then they will tell you. And what they tell you will matter more than almost anything else you will do this year. Stay in the doorway. Subscribe to Tender Heart Stories. Tell me in the comments, has your child ever come to you in the night with something they had been carrying alone? See you in the next one.